Hello, Mbula Nwaya, and welcome. This is Maple coming to you live here from the comfort of my home. I welcome you here. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're doing well, staying warm, and giving yourself permission to breathe a little. We are in the final stretch of the year, just days left, and I truly believe these moments still matter. God is still working, hope is still alive, and beautiful things can still happen. Um, just, just today is Sunday reflection, rest, and inspiration for a new week. And I'm just reflecting on looking back at the week we have just gone by. I'm just looking at it with gratitude. This past week, like many weeks before it, reminded me that life is a mix of moments that stretch us, moments that bless us, and moments that reset our hearts. And maybe you've had a year of wins, maybe it's been heavy, maybe it's been a mix of both. And here's the truth I'm reminded of. God has been faithful in every season, and we are stronger than we think. And we are never walking alone. I truly believe this. And so, when I mentioned about, as I mentioned about God has been faithful in every season, preparing for a new year just today, because today is my Sunday. And in church today, our pastor, um, the theme, the starting of a series that of today's lesson was titled "The Crossover," and it was really like perfect timing, a great way to be reminded that we are, preparing for the crossover into the year 2026. As for our church, preparing to move to our new church venue, and in life, I was reminded today when the pastor quoted something that really kind of hit me, because it is so true. And this is, our quote, and he says, live in tomorrow's obedience and not depend on yesterday's faithfulness. And that is so true, just reflecting on how faithful God has been in my journey, and just hearing that reminder today really kind of reminded me that I cannot depend on yesterday's faithfulness. What the year had, I can only reflect on it. I can only reflect on the year and all the great things and how God has been faithful in my journey. And even as I reflect on last week, I can only be thankful for his faithfulness, but I cannot, like dwell on that. I have to look forward to be, to more obedience in my walk with God and in everything that I do. And as this is my digital business, part of my digital business, and I share the things that I value, things that I have learned that has helped me, that I hope will help you as well, as I share every day, and the stories, my story, that I hope is adding value into yours. And so that was a great reminder for me, that we really cannot depend on what, God's faithfulness yesterday or last week or the year, because we have to trust in God's direction in our next steps forward, and also in obedience to what he has in store for us, and how, what he has planned for us. And so that is, I just wanted to elaborate more on that, and just being reminded of today's word that has really, encouraged me, and kind of, reminded me that it is something that I need to think seriously about. What plans I have for my 2026, or even tomorrow as we start a new week. Let that be an encouragement, and a way to remind us that we need to be obedient, and also take that bold step, because then only we'll be able to see God's goodness and what He has in store for us. And so, as today is also about rest for me, it's a day of rest as well. Um, and meaning, not going to work. But even today was more like, I can say, a full day. But that is I look at it as serving, not just attending church, but, giving back in serving, as well as we did have, my husband and I went to a memorial service later on in the day. So it was like a full day for us, but, we we saw it as, just a commitment, that we can rest from other things, but commit to serving and being present for others. And so it's like giving yourself permission. So when we talk about rest, these last few days, of the year are not leftover days. They are sacred days, rest days, reset days. Rest just doesn't mean quitting, and because that is not something that I would like to be a part of my plan. Rest means refocusing, and rest also means honoring your body, your mind, your faith, and your purpose. Sometimes most productive thing that you can do is just to pause, reflect, and just breathe. That's all we need. A very simple step and a very simple thing to do. Sometimes we overthink things, and then we have so much we want to accomplish, and there are things that the things that we want to really, we set our goals in the beginning of the week or the beginning of the year, and you want to meet them, but sometimes we, even if we don't meet them, it doesn't mean that you are failing. It just simply means that you can only do so much. And that is why rest, pause, reflect, and just take a deep breath, and and say, this is all I could do, and I will look forward to tomorrow's obedience and what is in store for me, or what the next week has, what God has for me in the next week. And so just looking ahead with hope, and so as we step into a new week, and prepare to to close this year, I'm choosing gratitude over grumbling, or complaining about certain things. I choose gratitude, and faith over fear. I choose courage over comfort, and I'm just thankful, but I'm also expectant. I'm thankful for the things that I've accomplished. Excuse me. I'm thankful for the journey, there are times where it was not a smooth journey. It was not just wins, but there were times of learning. There were learning moments. There were times of waiting, and there were times that, I really needed to trust God in my journey. And so I'm thankful, but I'm also expectant for what He has for me tomorrow, next week, next year. It's only a couple of days left. And so I'm just resting, but I'm also preparing because I truly believe next year can look different. It can look better. It can look fuller and more purposeful. So when I say that, I'm reminded in my business journey that, that this season has also reminded me why I'm so grateful for a digital business journey. I'm truly grateful for my career as well. As a registered nurse, I've worked more than 29 years now, and I'm truly thankful for the learning curve, the things that I've built, the skills that I've built, the experiences that I've had. But this digital business has really given me an open door, has changed the way I look at earning, because I've always known that this is the career I'll have, and this is something that will, that I love to do, which I still do. But I have realized that, times have changed, and there's, and I can say that, job guarantee is not guaranteed in most cases. And even though I'm in a profession that is still needed, but, there's so many things that have changed. The economy is changing. There's so much that is changing around us, and we cannot depend on the one thing that the source of income that, that I'm having right now, because life happens. And so I'm just grateful for this digital business journey, because I have always wanted to build my retirement. 13 years, and if you have watching me for the first time, I'm going to say this today. For 13 years in my previous employment, I did not have a retirement benefit. But I trusted that, God had opened this door for me to build it on the side while I would still work full time. And so it's not just about the money. It's about the options. It's about the peace, because I wanted more family time. My career, throughout my career, I have given so much time to work. And a lot of times, even though I'm needed at work and I'm there, but my heart was at home with my children. And that's the time freedom that I've always wanted. Although now they're adults, I do have grandchildren, and this is the time that I really want. I choose to find that peace so that I can have time with grandchildren and be there for them and see them grow. And yes, the great thing about, the online space now, you can do FaceTime, but there are times that you really want to be present for them. And so this is an option, an opportunity that is giving me, that has changed the way I see my work life, to have a balance in there, so that I don't have to work too hard. I used to work so much overtime, and I thought that was the extra income that, I can get while working overtime. But really, many times I was trading time with money. And time is something that we all look for. So many professionals who are earning so well, doing well, but the time, they lose so much time, missing out on milestones, and the presence, missing out on being present for their families. And that is what most people are looking for now. And this has given me that flexibility to make bold decisions, transitions that I have made within this year, from being a NICU nurse to now a clinic nurse, and having more time with family is something that I'm truly enjoying. And so the hope is the other thing, the hope for a future. Families deserve choices, and hardworking parents deserve breathing room. Also, as an immigrant, I can say this, and as a nurse and a grandparent and almost retiring, I hope soon, we deserve something beyond stress and survival. And, if your heart has been whispering, there has to be more than just working, worrying, and waiting for weekends. Maybe it's time to listen to that whisper. And it reminds me of, I have a framed quote that says, "Listen to your heart." And it really spoke to me. So it was someone that was giving it away, amongst other things. And I chose this because at that time, I was making that transition from moving from being a NICU nurse to wanting to work the clinic, to be a cardiology clinic. And because of the hours that I know, will give me that work-life balance. And this was the frame, a quote that really reminded me that, yes, I listen to my heart because time is something that I need with family. And so maybe it's time to listen to that whisper. And so as I say that, I have, this is a question that I'd love to, um, you know, I'd love to hear. So before I even ask a question, I'd love to hear from you. Like, what has this year taught you about yourself? It has taught me so much about myself that I never knew I could do. The things that that has really molded me, that has really taught me the skills that I now have learned in this digital business, and the confidence to be present here and share with you my story. Not only that, the possibilities of having that flexibility, peace, and time freedom. And so, what has this year taught you about yourself? The other question that I'd like to ask is, what are you grateful for? And so, if life could look a little different next year, what would you change? If life could look a little different next year, what would you change? Um, you know, you can put it down in the comments. I would love to hear that. Or if it is a question that you want to really think about and remind yourself that, you only have a couple of days before the end of this year. And as I recall today's sermon that talked about the crossover, what are you planning for the year 2026? It could start now. Planning could start now. It doesn't have to wait for the beginning of the year. And so just I think as I ask this question, it's not to pressure you, but it is just something that I even ask myself every time. And so if you are curious about what I do, if you've been following me and you know exactly what I do and you have questions, feel free to reach out. Or if you're listening to me for the first time, whether it is a live tonight or it is a replay, if you've been curious about what I do, if you've watched quietly, if something in you is really for change, for peace, for options, reach out. It's okay to ask. It's okay to be skeptical because this is an online business. But I believe that I still am here since I started last year because I know that this business is built on integrity. And so just be curious. Even a conversation can shift perspective. And that's what I did in the beginning. I didn't know computer skills. I didn't have a degree on, marketing or digital. But I had a big why. I had a reason and why I started this business. So as we head into this new week, beginning tomorrow, my prayer is this, that may you rest well, may you reflect deeply, and may you rise stronger. And also, may you walk into the coming year with courage, with clarity, and renewed hope. And so I hope that this has encouraged you. This has, really nudged you. If it is something that you have been thinking about, feel free to reach out. Share this with someone, and share this with someone that needs to hear this. And I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, night, whatever time zone you're watching me from. Vinaka, Foyaxia, and God bless.